All right, yes, sir. Once again, happy Idil Mabarak, whatever. Okay, I'm mixing now. So, all right, happy holiday. The Idil Fitri, I got it. It's on for those of you who are there celebrating. We are here to serve you. This is the voice of the people, Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abeokuta. The Daybreak Show, yes, Citizens Forum. That's where we look at issues, contemporary issues, issues that has to do with what you do on a daily basis that has direct, it could be indirect too, effect on your lifestyle. Today, yes, we are coming in with a fresh, interesting topic. Dele Ayodo, it's my name. Of course, like Toby said, it's one process, it's one test of the Section 69 Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended that the people of Kogi State wants to embark upon, but it's not going to change the face of representation alone, but Toby, it will confirm the fact that our democracy is growing. People are getting to know, people are understanding what their own powers. When you say your PVC is your power, your thumb printing means so much. People are coming to understand what that really means. What would be the implication of this test of the Section 69 process? Because we are not looking at Dino Melaye, even though Dino has made himself to become the test case, but it's not just about Dino. There are 369 members of the House of Representatives, 109 in the Senate, and the various House of Assemblies, the numbers are more than that. All these people can be recalled. That's what we are looking at this morning. I have two gentlemen here who in their own rights have ample experience to discuss this. First, let me introduce the politician here, Honourable Leye Odunjo, a former member of the Ogun State House of Assembly, represented OTA Constituency 1. Good morning, Honourable Odunjo.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
And we have a lawyer, a former national ESCO member of the Nigerian Bar Association. We have Mr. Adetunji Onabawo. Good morning, Mr. Onabawo.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start with you, the lawyer, Mr. Onabawo. Section 69, I hope I'm correct. That's
very
the
right.
section. And then we have a whole lot, about 9-10 steps to be taken. But do you think these people can go through the hog without hitting a rock from the constitutional provision?
Thank you very much. As I always say here, the bedrock, the platform, the threshold is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as variously amended. We are talking about democracy, and democracy cannot stand without the rule of law. That is, the law itself will guide everything that has to be done within a democracy in any government. Section 69, subsection A and B provides for the mode and the steps to be followed to recall a member of the National Assembly, be it the Senate or House of Representatives. It has a counterpart in section 110 for the Houses of Assembly. And the steps, you see, the Constitution as the archery law, we provide certain things that are very essential, and the law will harmonize every step. The process of recall is within the provision of section 69, is well harmonized with the process of election. And the basic principle behind all these things is that a member of the legislature, be it National Assembly or House of Assembly, is voted to be the representative of the people. And sovereignty, be it legislature or executive, reside and is reposited in the people who voted. So if the electorate in a given constituency, be it senatorial district or federal constituency, as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, if they are so dissatisfied, the issue is that if you are not a registered voter, you cannot participate in the process of recall. So it's a question of signatures of more than 50%, more than half of the registered voter of that senatorial district. In the case of Dele in Kogi State now, they will append their signature to a petition directed to the Independent National Electoral Commission, saying that we are not satisfied with the man we voted for, we want to recall, and of course consequentially re-elect another person. So when they submit that letter with the signatures, you know, anything about this political process in this country is always initiated, fired, sustained, and funded by the partisan politicians themselves. So I suppose that to comply with the first step, they would have used voters' cards and register, at least the register they used for the election. And every person who will append his signature in that petition must have been somebody whose name appears as a registered voter. So I'm saying this because of the premature of the man at the center of the crisis himself saying that it is fake news. It's just jumping the gun.
Okay, from that, Honourable Odunjo, what can be the saying or sayings of a legislator, of an elected representative, that will aggravate its people to go to this level? What are those things? One would have done?
Well, things that will have been done may not be the same all over the country. What you will do in Ota that will aggravate the your people will not be what you do in Kogi that will bring up annoyance, or maybe say they want to recall you. But it depends on your representation. As a representative of the people, you must know what your people want, and you must also be a good representative. You must have been told what they actually wanted from you while you were doing your campaign or something during the campaign. And because if you are really uh, a grassroots person, or you are based in your constituency, you will know what your people want.
Okay, let me cite the specific time. In the case of Dino,
Yeah.
that we are using as the test case,
Yes.
three major complaints that I've heard. One, if we call him, he does not pick his calls.
Okay.
Two, since winning the election, he has not come back home to say thank you. And three, he has not found job for many of our youth, those who go to him to ask for favors for employment. He has not been able to do anything to them. Are these sins worthy of a punishment?
Well,
Because this appears to be the common thing for all of you elected representatives.
well, it's not a common thing, because as a representative of the people, you must at least pick their phone calls anytime they call. Or if you are not available to pick their calls, you must return their call. Maybe you see the missed call, you should be able to return the call, because you don't know what exactly they want to really discuss with you, and the urgency in the call. You should be able to. But saying he has not come home since he was elected, I think that is not fair enough. You must be close to your people. You must not be far away from them. If you are voted in to come and represent them, you must be going back at least to give them report how far you have gone, your stewardship. Tell them this is what has been happening. This is how I've gone on this. This is what you have been able to do. At least you have pushed some cases. Like you have bad roads in your area, you have tried with the executive to include the road in the budget of the for the year. I should be able to go back to tell them this is what I have done, this is how far we have gone. I think if the Nomelai has not been going on, it's not fair enough, because it's not good while your people does not have access to you. It's not fair enough at all. But I think what is happening now is it's a very good development for democracy.
Why?
Yes, because some of our people did not even know that their representative can be recalled if he's not doing well. This is an eye opener. At least, even if it is not going to uh, uh, be successful at the end of the day, but it has actually opened the eyes of our people that if you are elected as a representative to the National Assembly or to the State House of Assembly, if you're not doing well, your people can recall you. But the only thing that I think is our executive arm can do is to use that as a check to tell the legislator, look, if you are not supporting me or doing well, doing my bid, I'm going to start a recall process. Because that was only what happened when we were, I was a member of the G15 in the House of Assembly during the Otumba Daniel administration. And I think while we were having issues with the governor, the recall process was initiated in my constituency and that of my colleague from Ayodo local government. But I think that they couldn't have their way, because what we are fighting for and what we were doing then was to the interest of the people that sent us. And I think this one that is going on in Kogi State, if uh, that sizable number are signed to recall Dino Malaye, I think there is a problem there. And I think this is the first time the National Electoral Commission is actually uh, uh, implementing their right to activate the process of a recall. Honestly, it's good for democracy anyway. But I think there are some things that still need to be amended in the constitution, because if you just say, oh, elected registered voters to above 50% of registered voters can sign the recall process. There are some people that are not even his friend, that did not even vote, that did not want his face, that did not like his face, that did not even go out to vote. Those ones will can even be part of the.
Sorry, you go to but you can note those because that would have been my question to him. The areas he feels out of the steps in such a situation that he thinks are unfair to the politician and to the people. So he just talked about that number of straight registration of voters. What are the other areas?
Yes, straight registration of voters. It's not fair to elected representative, because if it can be amended to say that above 50% of those that actually voted. I don't know if you get my point. Those that actually went out to vote.
But the point is, if you are a representative, you are not representing only those who voted. You are representing those who do not even have the franchise to vote, but are resident in your constituent.
Yes, I agree.
Underage.
Yes, I agree with you. But I think those ones, though they should have come out to vote, they were not defranchised. But for one reason or the other, they didn't come out to vote. But I think the INEC, the commission has the list of those that voted, because before you can vote, there will be accreditation. You'll be accredited, so they can get the list of those that they actually.
So in other words, you would prefer that section to say those who voted.
Who voted? I think it will be more. It will be better. It will be more credible, because yes, you should have at least gotten a temporary place for the people to. All right.
The issue now is, what is the importance and relevance of a constituency office to one, the lawmaker, and of course the constituents?
Yeah, it's very, very important, because there are some people that may not be able to reach you in your office. For example, Honourable Leye is in Abuja and is representing the people of Kogi West. Not all of them will have the opportunity of
that's close to 200 kilometers away
to see him in Abuja. I think it is very compulsory that legislators must have a constituency office, because that is it's a place where you can reach out to your people and where your people can really get across to you. It's even nice now that we are on this internet and blah 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 blah. You can also have an email where people will email you on what they want you to do, or blah blah blah. I think it's not fair enough if Honourable Leye does not have a constituency office in 2 years. He's been in the National Assembly before, and I think he should know what he should the right thing to do. So since he knows the right thing to do and he's not doing it, I think it's not fair enough. If people voted you in, they want to see you regularly, they want to see you come back to them, they want to tell you their problems, they want to tell you what they want you to do, what they want you to push for them. Though legislators have constraints, so there are some things that legislators cannot really push successfully. And for example, the issue of job opportunity, employment, blah blah blah, it's not the legislator that is employing. We have commissions that are doing the employment, but you can just influence. You can influence the employment of your people on maybe a federal character commission and blah blah. So that's what you can do. For example, I want the executive to do a road in my constituency now, though it's already in the budget. But the executive may say they don't have fund for it now, despite the fact that it's in the budget. they may go for another road and start doing that. But if you can really maybe lucky, yes, yeah,
Now, that's another point I want us to really look at. Lawmakers are elected to make law
yes,
for the
yeah,
people and the nation.
yes,
But it appears that that particular function is now secondary and no longer primary. What they do now is to deliberate on almost all issues, look for revenue generating agencies to probe, look for agencies that can recruit so that they can get people jobs. This is not part of what they do. And then so many other things. And you begin to wonder.
no,
Just like you also mentioned, facilitation of our project
yes,
to their constituencies.
yeah. It's also part of,
As a lawmaker,
yeah,
look these people in the face,
yes,
and say, hey, I was only elected to make laws that will benefit you. I'm not here to facilitate projects, roads, electricity projects, water projects, what have you. And I'm not elected to get you jobs or provide you money for your son's graduation or for your son's wedding.
yeah. Well,
This forms the angst.
yeah.
Let,
Yes, let me tell you that we have legislators have their oversight functions stated in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where you can look into the finances or activities of government agencies. Yes, and there is nothing bad in a legislator influencing employment of his people. It's also part of your duties and responsibility, because that is, yeah, but in the area of projects, infrastructural projects or something, um, the governor, the executive arm of government or the president may not look your direction of the kind of project you want your people to actually the government to do for your people. And that is why in some states and the National Assembly they have constituency projects. It helped the legislators to do some of the projects that they think very important in their constituency. So with that fund they will do some of these projects. So either you are in the good book of the executive or not, definitely with the constituency fund you'll be able to do one or two projects for your people. So it's very important that a legislator be able to influence some of these things.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Onabawo,
Yes.
now from what you just said about constituency projects and so on, do you think the constituents, the people, are mounting too much of a pressure on these elected people, the legislators, asking, is it fair to ask them to give you job? Is it fair to ask them to give you electricity, road, and things away from what will have been the primary role?
Well, that point is always. I've listened to your program in the week past, and one day you are discussing this issue of constituency projects. The question mark is, what is the function of the legislature as an arm of government? You see, we have to concede one point. Our democracy and the practice thereof is still in the embryo, still growing. We are still transiting from dictatorship to a miniature of democracy. And that is why we are finding all these issues cropping up. With due respect to the gentleman on my right, the legislature as a whole, be it the state or the National Assembly, the majority of those people there, either is they don't appreciate or imbibe the function of the legislature in a democracy, or just because partisan politics, that is party membership of political party, is being seen as what they call it. They call it. Some of them say our professional politician. They see it as a vocation, as a business, as a contract to line their own pockets. Yes, I agree. Principle of separation of power is not this iron cast compartment. There has to be overlapping and consultation here and there, cross fertilization of the ideals of governance. The oversight function is inside the constitution, and the issue is this.
But the oversight function still did not give the legislator the power to say.
I'm going there. I'm going. You know, there is this issue.
Oversight is monitoring of what the executive.
There is this issue being thrown up in one of your programs in the week past that when the executive submits appropriation, to what extent can the legislator
work on it,
tinker or do certain things on it? And well, some legal minds are calling for a judicial interpretation. But you see, beyond judicial interpretation, which will be the ultimate, because if people are telling ourselves or people are telling politicians the truth, like in the days of the military, they will say, okay, what do you know? We are the one. We are the okay. If you are not, go to court. At times, when they go to court, they don't even obey. So the issue of oversight function is there. If the executive, when there's an appropriation bill, in the process of the appropriation, it is not out of way for legislature from their various constituencies to submit to maybe works, industry, or even aviation, that okay, this is the airport within our constituency. This is what the negative impact on our people. So when you are budgeting for development of airport, please do this. They will with papers.
Mr. Onabawo, for fear of I don't want us to now lose track of the topic and begin to look at the power to provide. We are looking at the power to. We don't let us look at the power to provide what they call dividends of democracy.
It's loaded in the reason being
to the people. Let's so that we won't lose track. Let's go back to this reporting. I'm still staying with you, Mr. Onabawo. Those provisions, really, do you see any of it as being tinted heavily towards a particular group, either the people referred to as the constituent or the politician referred to as the representative? The section 69.
Yes, section 69. As far as I'm concerned, you see, we always slide into some,
because he has pointed out that one of the
we always slide to some confusion in this country. You see, a serious document like the constitution of a country, you don't always think of amending it on the spur of an event that just crop up. If you continue to be amending you should appreciate that before the constitution is made, even the 1999 they say military, but some people worked on it. NBA made some inputs. Some were accepted, some were jettisoned. But the issue is that before they come to where we are, they will have taken a lot of things into consideration. For example, I just believe that section is okay as it is, because the foundation for the election of the man is rooted in universal adult suffrage, and the process of that is, if you don't register, you cannot be a voter. Whether you vote for Leye, how do we even know who voted for him? You can only know the number.
INEC knows.
We know the number.
The knows all those have
but
voted.
you will not know who is who.
Even now, you cannot know who is who, because
no. So what you are saying
is INEC going to confirm or verify their signatures to be okay. This is Mr. Soso's signature.
INEC
be
is
made.
going to do
No,
that.
I know they're going to do kind of investigation, confirmation, and maybe later referendum or something.
Let us look at this. You mentioned earlier that the 759 is done with the law.
Yes.
Because he's raised objections to the fact that about 3 of the people who signed that petition of his recall are there. Now, that goes to show that they were registered voters. Whether they voted for him or not is immaterial. But
Yes.
if I were to ask you, does that nullify
Or would that nullify the process?
Tobi, at this level, he can say anything. He can say anything. Nobody should speculate that because he has said this. You know, he will be saying certain things to whittle down or to bastardize the process and make it not credible.
Okay, beyond him trying to make a nonsense of the process, if truly it was discovered that dead people signed those petitions of register, does that nullify?
What the Constitution says that above 50%. Yes. So if they verify and they get authenticated above 50%, the constitutional provision will have been complied with.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree with him that is what the constitution says. But that's exactly what I'm pointing out. I am not I'm not being personal about what I'm saying. I'm only saying what should be done. You understand? Like it's not about Dino Melaye that I'm talking about now. I'm talking about that recall process. To make it more credible. Yes, because for example, if you just bring signatures of people and names and you find some of them dead and blah blah blah, that means that the something is corrupt already.
No, but is it not possible now? Is it not possible for them to be alive when they register and when they die?
That is why I say they should just amend it to say, okay, those that voted, INEC can get the names and of those that voted because they were all accredited at the polling centers. So
either they voted for him or not.
Because those that either they voted for him or not. So those ones were alive. It was sure that during the elections they were alive.
Mr.
Onabawo, and they were part of the process.
Mr. Onabawo, another issue in this process that I also want us to look at is now INEC will verify physical verification of those names and signatures and then call for referendum again. Is that not duplication? Why are they trying to make it cumbersome?
It's not
that once you have verified, you have confirmed that these people have done that, and physically they say yes, I Dele Ayodo signed, and that why do you have to go into a referendum again?
The referendum, you see, I just draw this as an example. If you are taken to court for committing murder, we know the offense is death, but the law provides the channel that we should not make mistake. If the High Court condemns, Court of Appeal will look at it, Supreme Court will look at it before the thing can be, the sentence can be carried out. That is it. The process of recalling somebody who has gone through the election is such that before you now recall him, all the reasons or everything about it must be verified and cross-checked. You know, the issue of submitting signature, INEC does not participate in that one. The next stage is that, okay, the signatures are valid.
Which INEC will
then they will now go back. All those ones are just akin to confirming the registration of eligible voters. The process of recall really is the other side of voting, which is the at the voting they say okay, they thumbprint, they say okay, you are elected. So the other side of that now is the referendum, whereby they will go to the place all the polling booths where
to
the
vote him
man
out
to something like that.
But why will it now be those ones that did not exercise their franchise to vote will now be the one to recall those that people
note that
voted for?
Okay, Mr. Onabawo, note that
that's my
you
argument.
did not vote to vote the man in.
That would now be part of the process to recall him.
But once you are registered, the law is this: some rights are personal to you, some rights are embedded in an action. Once you register to vote, you may at that time, maybe for example, you had an accident, you are in hospital, you are unable to vote. You may be outside the country at that time, they are voting, you are not able to vote. So that's your right. It surpasses all this personal convenience.
All right. If you check your time, it's just about 2 minutes. It's just about 2 minutes to the hour of 10, which means at this point we have to take the break to allow the national news at 10 to come up. After that, yes, the debate continues. We'll still have a two-term member of the Ogun House of Assembly, Honourable Leye Odunjo, with us, and a lawyer, former ESCO, ex-official member of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Adetunji Onabawo. With us, we continue. We'll continue with that process, whether it was fair or not to vote as a referendum, and of course, whether the excuse of being induced is also tenable if it is proven that those who are calling for his head have been induced in one way or the other. Should that also be permitted? These two gentlemen will still be here with us after the news at 10. Don't go anywhere. All right, yes, we are back. Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abeokuta. Citizens around this morning, we are looking at the attempt to test the recall process of legislators as provided for by Section 69 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And we have with us Honourable Leye Odunjo, a former member of the State House of Assembly, two-term member, represented Ota 1 State Constituency, and the lawyer, Mr. Adetunji Onabawo. Okay, before that break, the issue in discourse was some of those steps to be taken provided for by Section 69. We are looking at which of them, where did it favor? Is it the legislator is it the legislator or the people who are the constituent? And then we've been looking at those steps. We are arguing about the percentage of voter. But the other one is this. We are aware that politics is involved. That's the truth. I said we want to pretend. And for the Kogi issue, the senator has accused the state governor or some people of inducing this process. Could this be a valid point to be tested, which was not provided for by this step? Should they be induced? Should it be out of their own volition to handle this issue?
Like I said the other time, this process of recall is the flip side of election. You will see that during elections.
I remember that's where Honourable Odunjo is disagreeing. If I did not vote for you to represent me, why should I have the power to vote to recall you?
I want to talk about the issue of inducement. During election time, after a result has been declared, and if you go to the election petition tribunal, they say this election must be invalidated by the tribunal because of 1, 2, 3. If you look at most of the reasons, it's always inducement, violence, inducement, and violence. And that inducement they are talking about within the context of our society today, with the level of education, with the level of employment, with the level of infrastructure we find on the ground, it is always a Herculean task. It is not a question of laying the claim that some people are induced. At the end of the day, if we want to go by the rule of law, you have to establish that people are induced. And you see, in all these things, the only place he can ask, the only place he can go to make that allegation is the court of law. And you see in the court of law, that inducement, even by electoral act, is a form of a criminal act. And the standard of proof is higher than just making allegation. So if the process by which he got to that place, can he come and tell us that his election, nobody was induced?
All right, Honourable Leye.
Yeah.
Should inducement, should it happen again there, even from politics or politicians?
I want to just say that what is claiming about inducement here is, I think, is not tenable because it cannot be proved. It doesn't have the.
But if it can, even if it cannot be proven, should the people be induced to take that decision?
No, I don't think people should be induced to take that decision. I think it should be a decision from the heart. It should be that, okay, we don't want this man. This man is not doing well. He's not representing us well. Let us just recall him. Let him come back home. Let us send another person in there. So I think that is what should happen. There shouldn't be any inducement for people to say, to tell the whole world that our representative is not doing well. It's not representing us well. They don't actually need to be induced to do that. But I think a lot. Dino Milaye has actually not represented these people very well, because if I think about 188,000 they said signed or something, if they can get 188,000 signatories,
but again he said only less than 120,000 voted for him, but we now over 180 voting for him to go out. Signing for him to go out.
Me, I've been on the side of of those that voted to, but since it is not so in the constitution, the constitution says registered voters, and if you can get, I don't know the actual registered voters from Kogi West now, but I think to get 188,000 to sign to recall him is not a small thing. I think it shows
whether they were induced.
Yeah, whether they are induced or not, it shows that Milaye is not actually wanted again as a representative in that area. Well, how many will they say is dead out of that 188,000?
Will it be 80,000 dead?
Yes, would 80,000 be dead, or 100,000 be dead or something? If INEC can confirm 188 as registered, 88,000 as registered voters, and those ones are the ones telling him to come back home, I think, I'm sorry, that may be the end of the road.
As transient as we are into democracy, I can tell you that we are making gains. All these processes, all these things we are talking about, maybe to some people may look slow or may look nauseating, but we are making progress. Since 1999 to date, we've crossed the bridge of removal of the governor. We are now on the front burner. Now is the recall of the legislature. Now, if all these things are done, well, politically speaking, the issue about the Senate president, he knows how he got to, or how he is able to retain his own seat up till now. I don't think that when you and your brother are on a very, very slippery terrain and you are thinking how to stand on your own feet, you will now stretch your hand to another slippery man who may be even heavier than you and may be susceptible to quick slipping and falling down. So that's
all right, quickly, because we will soon open the telephone lines.
Maybe I should just say something on that. The issue is beyond the Senate president, because this is about the rule of law. The only saving grace is if the recall certificate is not issued. if the recall certificate is issued on Leye is as good as gone.
All right, Honourable Leye, whether this process becomes a successful one or not.
Yes.
We have seen governors impeached since 1999. We have seen speakers impeached. In fact, we have even seen serving judges, CJs, removed. These are the three arms of government. What are the implications of this process that is being tested on the long run?
Yeah, honestly, like I said earlier, that it's a good development. Honestly, it shows that our democracy is really growing, and by the grace of God, democracy has come to stay in this country. It is an eye-opener for our people, and it will be a form of checks for all the representatives that are voted into the legislative arm of government. If you have voted to go and represent our people, if you're not doing well, if you're not representing them very well, the whole world knows that, the Nigerians will know that, yes, they can recall their representative if he's not doing well. So it's good for democracy. And
you don't think there will be a backlash looking at the inducement allegation from that this is one good way for the executive?
Yes, that is where I'm going.
Pocket the
yes, that is where I'm going. That it's a good one for democracy. But the danger part of it is the governor inducing the registered voters to remove any legislator, or president inducing voters to remove any legislator or that is not doing their bit, despite the fact that what the legislator is protecting the interest of his people at one point or the other. Because
all right, from the legal angle, what are the possible backlash, the implications of this process? Either it failed or it sailed through.
Back to my introductory remarks, sovereignty belongs to the people. That is it. Whether somebody induce or somebody does not induce, the thing is already in our ground norm. So even there will be development. If somebody even induce somebody this time around, we continue to grow whereby the inducement they are talking about will be. You see, we have a lot of
we've been talking about the executive subsuming.
Yes, we have a lot of non-governmental agencies that in the future will be at the back of implementing these things. So let us move.
All right. Yes, at this junction, well, maybe from the politician, somebody said the process is stringent and cumbersome, and then we also get that same reaction from the lawyer. Is the process to use stringent and cumbersome? Two people.
No, the process is not cumbersome. I think it's fine. It's okay. The process is okay, and INEC has not said the process is cumbersome, and as Tobi rightly said, they're on the 7th stage now, and in another few days, the whole process will be over. So I think if in this short while they are already on the 7th stage, getting to the 9th or 10th stage won't be any problem. Though that is the moment, that will be the moment of decision. That is the referendum, which is actually the main thing that is going to happen, because during the referendum, voting must happen simultaneously in all the designated polling units or wherever. So I think it's like during the election. So, and Leye too is also, or the whoever is being recalled is also given the right to appoint his or her agent. That,
it's just like
election.
But so this time it's between him and the
people.
No
so I think it's not cumbersome. It's fine.
And there's no public campaign.
No public campaign at all. Yes,
Mr. Onabawo, stringent, cumbersome.
Well, those who say the process is stringent, they forget, like it has just been said now, that this recall is just the other side of election. For the purpose of recall, the stage of registration, that is the common takeoff point. So when you want to vote, you will first call, they check you, they accredit you. That is the signature submitted.
That has been committed.
That has been submitted. So when you submit your card and or either you want to use the machine or something, they now accredit you. That is the verification. So the referendum now is just the other side of voting. So for me, with all the shortcomings of the normal election, all the human-induced shortcomings and everything will be replicated here. So there's nothing.
In actual fact, maybe Tobi, if you look at all those steps, I think two of those steps are major, can be said to be student. That's collation of the signatures, the verification of those ones. Those are the two students that getting the over 50% of the registered voters of that area to sign the petition, and therefore INEC to verify that indeed there are more than 52% who have signed. Referendum and the other process, I think they are more administrative than stringent. Okay, let's go back to the telephone lines. Hello.
He's talking about my take. I'm going to tell him what the law says, the points the law emphasizes. You see, I've said it earlier on. At this time, it is wrong for anybody, be it lawyer or the man himself, to be saying that they have certificate of dead people who appended their signatures to the petition to kickstart the record. You see, even if a lawyer says it, I will just tell people by my own experience in the field that the lawyer is just a trumpet to blow anything the client says, and it now depends on the character of the lawyer to say that I will not blow this one. That is that. But the issue of verification by INEC, that is the mischief. That thing that exercise is to cure, to show that those people who sign are truly registered and living registered voters in that senatorial district. Period.
All right, can we add messages to them? Or you want to say something?
It's even immaterial, because the number of people that actually signed to recall him so much that how many people will you claim are dead? And I think INEC is in best position to actually work and reconfirm and substantiate what is claiming, that some of the people that are that signed the petition are dead. So it's just I think it's just to deduct those that are dead and see and use the figure of those that are alive or something. I think that's just, I'm sure that is what INEC will do in my own.
All right, so can we have messages? If you check Ogun here on many of the elections, the registered voters, truly, sometimes it's even as low as only 20% of those who registered that comes out to vote.
Yes,
so we have never seen from 1999. I've never said anywhere, any election where we have 50% of the registered voters voting.
That is our level.
It's usually less than. So why should we now demand for 50%
of the registered voters?
That's the question.
You see, the percentage of being declared a winner of an election is.
Does that not let credence to the point? Let us say that it will be those who voted. Because if you have only 20% of those who registered voting,
who asked them not to come out? Were they forced to say no? When a right is given to you by the Constitution will be following that right to this logical conclusion. Whether you exercise that right or you perform that duty on the midway, the Constitution cannot be blowing hot and cold at the same time.
Is that about your inability not to vote? Should that be a problem of the Constitution?
Did anybody force anybody not to vote?
What I'm saying is like Tobi likely read up now, that the percentage of those that voted are always very low. So let us now say, okay, certain percentage of those that voted should now be those ones that will have the right to recall their representative. It's exactly what I said, and that is what is happening.
But it's saying if you choose, or for one reason you were not able to vote, should be your problem and not the problem of the constitution.
When the voters apathy, when we cross that, what happens?
For example, look at I can't really remember his name now. He spoke the other time that if he did not vote for somebody that
that Kazim Odudo, that he made, but at the end the man performs and wins.
It becomes the representative of everybody.
If the man does not perform now, or maybe he's just somebody that is not, despite the fact that he did not vote. He will be the first person. We did not vote for him because he's a PDP or something. But if you now want to look at it on what I'm saying is not voting for a particular party. The number of those that voted, either you vote for the entire vote cast for PDP, APC, whoever that any party, that make sure that all the numbers of those that voted at that election. I think percentage of those that voted at that election should be those ones that will have the right to recall whoever is there. It's just my own observation.
Okay. Can we add the other message?
It has nothing to do with
the constitution is already there.
Yes, it's already there. Yes.
Okay. So, at this point, let me ask this question. Somebody just said, at what point do you think Nigerian factor can come in? What do you think can stop this now? That's the question for the trophy. But Dele first. That we can reach.
Yeah. I'm not sure the constitution states that the petition can be withdrawn. So I don't think so.
No, constitution can never say if I decide. Yes, it's just like the case lawyer is there. I have a case, I explain a case against at any time I stop coming as witness.
Yes, but if politically they can resolve it, well, I think it will be good for them. But if not, at this stage, I think the only solution, what can save Belaye is the voting at the referendum. If they cannot get 51% that says Belaye should come back, that's
so to you it's almost going.
Yes, it's almost going. So there's nothing anyone can do. I don't think there's
anything. Can they withdraw this? Would that be valid? What do you think can stop this now?
The constitution does not provide for withdrawal. But my last remark is simply this: Section 69 for the federal legislature has a counterpart in Section 110
for the state.
Then the Bible says, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 12 says, lest those who think he stands take heed lest he fall. Then the Yoruba will say, Ikutum bojukba eni. Thank you.
All right, I think that's more appropriate for us to edit Ikutum bojukba eni. If it eventually becomes a yes for denominator, some people have said that will be the beginning of the flourish of so many recall process.
Avalanche.
Yes. Okay. Many recall, even this year alone. So if you are given a job to do, ensure that you do it satisfactorily. Like that singer says, if you teach well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If you are a lawyer well. Dele Ayodo is my name. Sorry, if you are a politician well. I say God bless you all. God bless Nigeria. God bless Rock City.